Computer love. Thank you for joining us for another episode. We're talking Tron Legacy, came out 2010 with Tron Ares, either right around the corner or here, give and take what's going on in the editing room. Just want to go ahead and rate this. So before we do go into the highs and lows and go ahead and rate this from a 0 to a 5, hit the subscribe button, like, and comment for more as we dive into this Disney movie. Now, for Tron Legacy, you have the first Tron that came out in 1982. And we've got a review for that. Go ahead and check that out. But you also have this movie here, and I'll start with my lows. Now, the lows for this movie was very predictable. Unfortunately, very predictable. Too long. The pacing was poor. The fighting scenes were atrocious. They were 8-bit fighting scenes versus the kids are playing at 120 frames per second nowadays. If you get the drift, I was very disappointed in the fighting scenes and the action that this had in it, and without a necessarily solid story other than the fact that it's nostalgic and it's tech and there's some visual stuff that's going on. It didn't leave much. And then even when you get to the end, and we won't spoil anything here, even when you get to the end, the cliffhanger that they're trying to go for, or the moment they're trying to go for to make it feel impactful, because of the pacing and the editing, they stretched it too long. They lost realism of the world they've created and the villains they created, and so it falls flat, unfortunately. Now let's talk about the good. The music, Journeys, right here, right? So the music was, I won't say good. It was great. You had Daft Punk work on this with another individual who did the soundtrack for Tron Uprising, which was one season, and it might have came out 2 years after this movie. It was only on it was a cartoon thing, but point blank, really good music. It had a great look, great visual production. They weren't cheap on it. I think they spent like $117 million on this movie, and they made something like that, but it was a success. But it wasn't a success for Disney for what they wanted, which I don't understand, because they've had, I think, one or two video games that just didn't hit the spot. I feel like they came out and it's almost like they want the franchise, the IP, to be successful, but they're not making the right choices to make it successful. Instead of them having movies like this one was actually pretty much well received, instead of having it followed by a video game or more focused on 2 seasons of that animated series that I mentioned before, leading up to a third and fourth. They didn't do that, and it's unfortunate, really it is. So I thought the acting was good. There was some characters, like one co-star female character. It's not her. I think it was the direction of that character was very robotic, but I get it because it's supposed to be a computer. But I felt like it was so robotic. It felt like they were trying too hard. It was really cool to see some cast members like the Sirens, who I've seen in other projects. That was pretty cool. The CG that they're using for Jeff Bridges to show some different, I'm not going to spoil anything, but show something a little different based on the times 2010. I thought that was pretty cool. So with that being said, let's go ahead and rate this. Like I said, it's 2 hours too long of a movie in 2010. The storyline and the plot just don't hold up. It's unfortunate because it's the second Tron movie that does this. There are some good things about it. They do clean up some storyline stuff and give you something. The graphics or the look is really good. The music, the soundtrack is so good. If you haven't listened to Tron Legacy, listen to that. I'm going to go ahead and rate this movie a 3. It's an average. There's nothing really going on too much about it. I would say if you're a fan of the lore of this, there is a video game that should be under $20 on the Switch and PC. You can check that out. Tron Identity. There is Tron Uprising, which I think does a really good job, and it tells you the story, kind of how the Rizzler kind of gets involved, how Tron gets involved, so you can kind of have an understanding. And I'll give you a tip if you're new to the Tron universe. When you see the suits, regardless, blue or red, and each color means a different access in the system, if you see a T with the dots anywhere, that's Tron. Okay, so Tron can be anyone. It could be any one of us. Tron is someone who wants to stand up and do what's right and protect the users. So just kind of keep that in mind if you're new to the series. But all in all, I mean, I enjoyed the music. I enjoyed the movie. It made me want to go back and watch Ready Player One or reread that book. one and two. That was really Point Blank. I'm getting sidetracked, but I think it was a good watch. It's just I was expecting more. Could have been anywhere in the world. And until next time, kalika